Dr. Abuelaish, welcome to the program. We have spoken together over many, many years. The first time we met was in 2009 after your daughters, your niece were killed in an Israeli tank fire during the last or one of the last ground invasions. You then wrote a book called I Will Not Hate, I Shall Not Hate. How were you able to summon that forgiveness at that time?
At that time, even when I wrote my book, I Shall Not Hate, because the people were expecting me to be afflicted with this disease called hatred. And even, I mentioned it, if I could know that my daughters were the last sacrifice on the road to peace between Palestinians and Israelis, then I will accept it. My daughters and my niece were not the last. They are just numbers in this series, are continuing till now among the tens of thousands who are killed. That's why I don't accept it. And I feel these days, it's not with hatred, I feel angry in a positive way.
In a positive way you feel angry?
Yes, I want to do more because I know the meaning of the loss. I lost my daughters. I see my daughters in every innocent human being who is killed. In the Palestinian children and the Israeli children, the innocent who are killed. So the only way, as a medical doctor, when there is a bleeding patient, I rush to stop the bleeding. So my main goal now, as I said to you, I wish to come here to celebrate the ceasefire, to save lives, to give life.
And just to point out here, when I visited you, you were a doctor living with your family in Gaza, but working across the border in Israel at the special hospital there. You're an OB-GYN. So you had real relations, so-called, with the other side, right?
Yes.
And what was that like? Because you knew the story of the other.
Yeah, I know the story, and that's why I lived it, I understood it, and that's raised the question about ignorance. We judge each other without knowing each other. So it's important to know each other, to communicate with each other, not to be misinformed. When I worked, I believed in the mission of the work I am doing, that medicine is a human equalizer, stabilizer, socializer, harmonizer, sustainizer. So you see it, if you go to any hospital, can you differentiate between the cry of the newborn, Palestinian, Israeli, English, Canadian, American? The cry of the newborn baby is a cry of hope, cry of life. And the newborn baby is born free, born free, and we treat all equally. Why, when they leave the hospital, we start to discriminate between them based on ethnicity, religion, color, name? It's time to learn from that.
As you know, Israel has said it will try to remove these children, somehow get them out of the danger. Whether or not it can, we're not sure, or whether it will. They're also calling on doctors to abandon Al-Shifa and just go. And yet we've seen in many wartime situations, whether it was the terrible floods in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina, whether it's in Syria, whether it's in Gaza, whether it's in Israel, wherever it might be, doctors have a duty of care. Would you leave if you were told to leave, even if your life was in danger?
I will never leave the place where I am coming. This is my moral responsibility, my ethical and human responsibility, to give care to the people who are in need. It's immoral to leave them.
You lost, I think you said, 25 members of your extended family in this current war, not to mention, as we've mentioned, daughters, a niece in 2009.
I lost them, and even now, I'm trying to get in touch with my brothers, with my sisters, to talk to them, because I don't know if I will talk to them later on or not. Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, they are moving coffins. They are waiting in line for nothing they did. They are people like others. They want to survive. They want to live. And when my nephews, nieces, where we as Palestinians, as every other parent, they invest everything to raise their children, to be great people, to be proud of them. My brother, they raised, and my sister, they raised their children to be educated. One of them is Bara, who graduated from the School of Medicine, and she was supposed to start her residency. My niece, Isra, who is architect engineering. My nephew, Ali, he is a physiotherapist. My niece, Hanan, she was killed with her husband and her 3 sons and daughter. She named her daughter Aya after my daughter Aya, because we carry the names. We want to keep them alive. They are children. And even my nephew's wife, she was killed while she is pregnant with her lovely daughters. Is this going to put an end? I say it. How much of the Palestinians' blood to satisfy the thirst of revenge and anger?
What will this do? You know, you've heard probably Netanyahu and others talking about de-radicalizing Gaza, destroying Hamas, whether or not that's possible. But do you think it will create another generation of radicals?
It will lead only more bloodshed, more suffering, more pain, more hatred, more violence, and more extremism. And I am sure we need rational voices to bring an end to this and to realize one thing: military means and violence will never put an end to this.
What is going to make them safe?
The Israelis?
Yes, from what the kind of slaughter that happened.
It's good. This is a question we need to ask: what are the root, why they don't feel safe? This is important, and to dig deeper to find out the root causes. Both sides, Palestinians and Israelis, they want to be safe. They want to be free, and to end the occupation, the big elephant inside the room. And personally, I fully believe Palestinian safety, security, freedom, independence, equality, and the future, both of them and the Israelis are dependent and intertwined with each other. So no one is safe as long as the other is not. And we need to work towards that, to equalize between them and to get rid of the obstacles which are preventing them from being equal, which are the occupation.
And you always said that when you were treating patients, they could have been from Mars, but they were your patients. They weren't Jewish, they weren't Muslim, they were patients. And you have moved to Toronto, where you say you have neighbors who are Jewish.
Yes.
How do you interact on a daily basis, particularly in a situation that's so difficult?
I deal with them as Canadian, as neighbors, and that's important. We never brought the conflict here. This is important. Anytime politicians, they bring and they import the conflict from there to here by their attitudes, by being biased, polarized, and complicit about what is happening. You see the demonstrations in London, and that's what I say. The conflict back home, it's contagious and it crosses barriers. So we need to putting an end in a just way. All the world will benefit from it.
It is clear to me, after all these years, that Hamas, military or political, do not put the fate of the Palestinian people first. They put their own fate and the struggle, whatever you might want to call it, first. And I wonder how much, you know, everybody says all Palestinians are Hamas or all Gazans are Hamas. I wonder what you would say to that.
You know, I want the people to differentiate, not to generalize. And this is one of the problems, the propaganda they use it. Palestinian people by their nature are secular people. But the current situation in the Gaza Strip, and to reduce the conflict and the situation just in Hamas and Israel, not as a Palestinian people with an Israeli people. That's what is needed. This is the main issue. Put an end to it. And even Hamas was elected in 2006. Since 2006 till now, we don't have election. Help us to have election, to have a free democratic election on all of the occupied Palestinian territories in the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem, and let the Palestinians decide by themselves who can lead them. I urge, and we want to have a new leadership that represents the whole Palestinian people. And even what is going on back home, there is difference between Palestinian Authority and PLO. Who represents the Palestinian people everywhere is PLO, not the Palestinian Authority. Palestinian Authority is a byproduct of Oslo Agreement, which was signed between PLO and Israel. And even for that, PLO recognized the existence of Israel. But Israel didn't recognize till now the existence of the Palestinian people. And all of the time you hear it, they say, no for 67 borders, no for East Jerusalem, no for withdrawal of the settlements, and of course, no for the rights of the return. So what else? We want to live side by side based on international law and international resolutions. This is the guarantee for long-lasting harmony and life between Palestinians and Israelis. Let us humanize for once, not to politicize for a political agenda, those political, to leave a legacy in their life. What are they going to say to their children? The children are the future. They are the hope. We want them to live in harmony. As I deliver babies at the hospital where they can live, a Palestinian side by side to Israeli, why not? They live outside.
Dr. Izzeldin Abuelaish, thank you very much indeed. What a terrible situation.